Welcome back to Game Talk from the Bench. I'm your host, Drew Barreto, and today I'm here with my co-host, my uncle Andrew Barreto, and my guest, my other uncle, my uncle Joe. We're talking NFL. Today we got some news surrounding the head coach, as well as more contract extensions and a potential trade from one of the star Buccaneers on the defensive side. In the NBA, LeBron James has finally made his decision, and it's affected numerous of teams. And the team he went to, let's just say, they're looking to win it all. In the MLBs, our weekly standings update, as well as some trade news and injury news. Ending this off in Formula One, it was race week in Hungary. We'll talk about that. And World Cup is unfortunately it is over, so there's no soccer to talk about, or football, if you want to say it. No football to talk about today. But to start us off, Kyle Shanahan. He was in a car accident, and he actually today he took the blame for the car accident that left him with concussion, broken ribs, broken nose, broken left hand, and stitches for a large cut above his right eye. This happened in Palo Alto on July 14th. News came out of it only a few days ago, which is to me is pretty crazy. It got like I said, it got reported the other day, and it happened last week. But he is okay. He isn't back to coaching the team just yet. But scary news. He said he felt at a moment he almost lost his life. So really scary news for Shanahan. He said he was only going about 20 miles an hour. He had his phone on his lap. It slipped between his seat. He looked down to go grab it. And next thing he said, when he looked up, he had his airbags off. And yeah, like I said, really scary moment. And, could be really impactful. Joe, I know you're a Niner fan. What was your initial reaction when you saw, your head coach potentially could have been gone?
Well, I'm just glad he's okay. Wha- I'm not a Shanahan guy, so I wanted to get rid of him. So personally, so I don't really feel for him. I'm glad he came out and told the truth though, because it wasn't fair to that 21-year-old girl when he hit her. And she's sounds like she was getting the blame, or I don't know what the problem was. That the officer reported it wrong, is what I read. I mean, it's not fair to a regular person to tell their insurance it wasn't their fault, and then the insurance say no, it says it was your fault. So I would have been pretty upset if that would have happened to me. Even Shanahan's technically a celebrity, so I don't know. It is what it is. I'm just glad he came out and told the truth, but he did get hurt, like you said, Drew. He got 40 stitches above his eye, so I mean that's a lot of stitches to have. So must have been a pretty impactful crash for him. So just glad he's okay. When he comes back, and it is what it is. Just glad he came out and told the truth.
Yeah, and that's crazy. 20 miles per hour. I mean, that just shows what could happen. I mean, he was in a 25 mile per hour area, and he's going 20, and as reported. But it's almost like, yeah, they took a while to report this. And, then the report was wrong, that's, blaming someone else. It's almost like maybe that reporter, he's a Niner fan, and he's over here just making things up and writing his, we got to look into that, It's like, hey, do we got something here? Do we got a conspiracy? Try to sweep it under the rug kind of thing. But yeah, no, good thing he's okay. And, nothing really, I mean, that sounds pretty severe. All the above, concussion. There's one article here that I'm looking at. It says nearly lost his eye. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned the stitches and the broken nose and 20 mile per hour. Can you imagine? I mean, that's just, if he was going at a higher speed, the possibilities of what, further damage he could have created.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said, it's kind of scary that only like you said, only 20 miles. He was only going 20 miles per hour. But yeah, I also saw he almost lost his eye. Could have been potentially winning an eye patch for the season. Would have made it hard reading his plays. But yeah, Joe, I'm actually, you're not a Shanahan guy. Now I know the Niners haven't won the Super Bowl. They've been there multiple times and they haven't won it. But why are you not a Shanahan guy?
He doesn't play his young guys, his young talent. He plays those veteran guys. It's just you're to learn the game of NFL, especially you got to play your young guys. And last year and when we had Saleh, prior to him before leaving for the head coaching for the Jets, uh, he was he plays his young guys. And sometimes he has no choice because guys got hurt, and it's understandable, but still got to play them, And Shanahan he doesn't really play them, And I don't. But it bothers me because it's like, how are they supposed to learn if they're not on the field? You know what I mean? They have to play for them to learn. So I mean, we'll see if they're saying that Stripling's going to play at wideout, so that's good news to hear. I mean, right now they don't have a left guard, and it's a young, talented. It's not talented. It's a young left guard that got drafted in 2024, I believe, and it's because they have no options. They didn't go and sign on any guards, so of course, yeah, you got to play them now. But it's like, it's just frustrating to me. Just the way he calls his plays. Sometimes it's mind-boggling to me. It is what it is, but I just I'll move past him already, and I guess if he wins the Super Bowl, I'll be happy. But that's a big if. I mean, we're talking one of the toughest divisions in the league, so we gotta get past our division first, and we'll see if we do. I don't think we do. I'm hoping we come in second in our division. So I mean, that's saying a lot right there already. So and then from what I read, it was an article about his eye. I guess the air tag, came out so fast that it hit his visor. That's where the visor what got his eye. So that's why I got the 40 stitches. So I mean, that's just what I read. So
yeah, hearing what you don't like about Shanahan sounds like the coach crosstown and Steve Kerr not playing his rookies. Story known too well.
Yeah, you know what's strange too. I work with a season ticket holder, 49er guy. He's not a Kyle guy either, and I go, are you kidding me? I mean, this is obviously before we've had our coach now. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I know he's a Super Bowl champ, but I said all those other coaches we've had in the past, I would kill for Kyle Shanahan. We want him. He's taken the Niners to the playoffs. I don't know how many years, but it's more than the Raiders been to the playoffs. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, and I know lets them slip away, and maybe again the play calling could be the factor there of letting these games slip away. One of them they lost. It was one of the greatest quarterbacks to suit up, I guess, and Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, I just and his running backs, you plug and play. I mean, I like Shanahan. I've always I argue with the guy at work. I was just like, man, look you for who are you gonna get, and I said, one of the young minds, one of the better young minds, that dates back to when he was with the Redskins and who's the other, the Atlanta Falcons, So I mean, for me, and I'm not even a Niner fan, so yeah, I just thought, hey, I work with a guy too. He doesn't like shit. He's not a Kyle guy either.
Yeah, that's funny. I feel like in the Bay, I run into a lot of Niner fans, and I don't hear often that they don't like Kyle Shanahan. And like you said, Andrew, as Raider fans, yeah, we would kill for a coach like Kyle Shanahan that could, take us to the playoffs, take us to the Super Bowl. Though I would love to win the Super Bowl, just getting there. But yeah, so dangerous news from Kyle Shanahan. He is okay. We will see when he reports back. John Lynch just said the main thing is to get him healthy for him and his family. But moving on to some of our extensions. Denzel Ward, we've talked about him before. He said it before. He wants to stay in Cleveland, and staying in Cleveland is what he wants to do. He is assigned an extension of 2 years, $62.2 million. So makes him the highest paid defensive back in NFL history for the second time in his career. At 29 years old, it most likely will be his last major contract. This new deal adds on 2 years to his previous deal, which includes 2026. So he'll be making an average of about $31 million. Like I said, he's been the long time Brown, drafted number 4th overall in 2018. And he looks to stay in his home state of Ohio, and great for him. A lot of money. As for the Browns, we all know they traded Myles Garrett. They're going to be in that rebuild mode for a little bit. And as for Denzel Ward, he just said, hey, I just, you guys drafted me. You're in my home state. And I'll just, like I said, loyalty is a tough thing to find these days. And he's one of those guys that he's loyal to his team. And I respect it. He's got his money. Like I said, he's still one of the top corners of the game. And so good for him. That's all I have to say.
You gotta take it, right? Take that cash. That's a lot of money there, and highest paid defensive back, and I mean that's saying a lot right there of how the Browns value his play. The 5-time Pro Bowler. But yeah, I mean, now he got paid, and let's see, he go out there and do what he's been doing his majority of his career. And sometimes you see these guys get paid like that to get their money, and then all of a sudden it's like, hopefully no injury comes about, or just maybe he's not feeling it, because they are, like you said, rebuilding, and I think they'll probably have a tough year. Like Browns fans are probably used to, year in, year out. So we'll see.
Yeah, like you said, Drew, they are rebuilding. But there's one thing that they have that they really haven't had in recent, I mean, I don't even know how long. I'd say 20, 30 years, but they actually have a quarterback competition out there. So with Gabriel and Sanders. So, I mean,
And Watson.
And Watson. So it's looking good out there, or at least the quarterback position. Ward, definitely deserves it. I know why he did it. He had no more guaranteed money left in his last contract, so he wanted some more guaranteed money. Which, I mean, like as Andrew said, he's earned it. So let's see if he keeps earning it. I mean, he is probably the top, if not the top 3 DBs in the NFL. So well respected. He's a great player. Amazing player. I mean, just overall, he's great. I mean, like I say, he's from the state of Ohio. He says he's from the suburbs of Cleveland, so it's like he's in his hometown, and like Drew said, you don't find that loyalty too often. But when you don't want to leave your state or leave your area, sometimes you got to show that loyalty, and it's happy to see that for Cleveland. Good for Cleveland fans. They're still in that rebuild year, but like I said, at least they have that quarterback competition going on right now, so that's good for them.
Yeah, and they get to keep his veteran leadership as well. Like I said, they traded Garrett, who was also well respected within the Browns. But then they end up trading him, so now you lose like a guy with his veteran leadership, but you still keep Ward. Who knows? He potentially could get moved. I don't know if he got a no trade clause or not. I highly doubt they would move him though. But for the right price, could happen. But yeah, so it's great money for him. And for this next guy, he also got really good money. So we'll move right to him. Jalen Carter, Eagles defensive tackle, signed in a 4-year, $152 million extension. It could reach up to 160 and includes 106 in guarantees. Like I said, it's $38 million a year, which makes him the highest paid interior defender in the NFL, leapfrogging Jeffrey Simmons at $35.2 million. They picked up his 5th-year option, so he's now locked down for the next 6 seasons. And I think this is huge for them. He's been phenomenal for this Eagles team. He's been really good. Him and Jordan Davis, those are the 2 young defensive tackles that they've drafted. And it's sad to see, because he was the 9th overall pick in 2023. The Raiders had the 7th overall pick when we drafted Tyree Wilson. And I know there was concerns with Carter because he had his car accident issue when he was with Georgia in college. And so obviously Vegas had the concerns. They passed on him. And now you look at him, and he's arguably one of the best defensive tackles in the league. But yeah, big money. Big money. Eagles, Howard Roseman just really knows how to construct his roster. He's trying to keep some of his young guys. We obviously know he traded A.J. Brown, freed himself up some money, and just looking to extend his championship window, right? We know they won in 24. And so he's just trying to keep his window alive, and with a guy like Jordan Davis, that window's going to be open for quite some time.
Yeah, and it's, 106 guaranteed? 106 million guaranteed. I mean, yeah, big payday for this guy, but he's a young guy still. 25 years old, and a guy like this who's just been productive since they've drafted him. You want to pay this guy, lock him into on your team, and that way that defensive tackle position is taken care of for years to come.
Yeah, it was a great signing. I mean, it's a lot of money for a D tackle, but like Drew said, I mean, he's done everything they've asked, and he's gone above and beyond. So, I mean, there's nothing more you can ask for a D tackle. I mean, that I know of, he only had one bad incident, and I think that was I believe, spitting in Prescott's face. in one of the Cowboys games where he got ejected. But
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, he's played phenomenal. I mean, he's a like just like the last guy was Ward. I mean, he's a top 5 defensive tackle in the league. I mean, we're maybe even top 3. I mean, he's a great talent. I mean, deserves every penny. I mean, it's just a lot. But I mean, you know what? I mean, he's only 25 years old. He hasn't even hit his prime yet. Probably next couple of years he'll hit his prime, and I mean, he's still doing unbelievable things right now. So I mean, just a great signing for the Eagles to keep him there with Jordan Davis. So I mean, I think they played together in Georgia together, did they not?
Yes, they did. I
Yeah.
believe you're correct.
So I mean, just a great move to keep him, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm gonna correct myself. So they won in 2025. We all know who they lost in 2023 to the Chiefs. Jalen Carter was not on the team then, and obviously you could tell it was a close game that the Eagles lost to. Maybe if he's there, he's the difference maker, and they win that game. But instead, he's not. They end up losing 23. They draft him in 23, and then when they're back in at 2025, you saw the dominance of that defense. They absolutely demolished the Chiefs, and they had a great Super Bowl victory in 2025. So yeah, like I said, young talent in the league, Harry Roseman and company are like, hey, we want to get this guy down. I mean, they'll have him to age 31, unless injury or something really bad happens and they're forced to release him. They're hoping all goes well.
You guys haven't been watching the Netflix quarterbacks, right?
No, I haven't.
So
I got to. You're my guy who watches it.
As soon as you brought up the spitting incident, it reminded me because there's a whole thing, and Baker Mayfield's pretty funny on that thing. He's what I thought he would be, just a character, and I would think he's one of the better guys to follow on that show. And he's just trash talking everybody. They keep showing all these clips, and he goes up to Jalen Carter, and he's like yelling at him. They're arguing back and forth, and he goes, "Are you still spitting on people?" Yeah, it was pretty funny. But yeah, I just want to bring that up real quick. That's on Netflix quarterbacks. Yeah, being paid to promote that. But yeah, it's interesting. They have we talked about it briefly, right? Baker Mayfield. What the heck is that? He
Joe
used to be
Flacco.
Cleveland. Joe Flacco. He just got traded, by the way. So they show the whole ins and out, where they're at, what their reaction when they get the news. Cam Ward. He's another guy. I've drawn a blank on the other guys, but it's interesting. It's different to watch, just to see how they react to weekly events and studying and all that good stuff. But yeah, Jalen Carter, he was getting smack talked by Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield. I've seen clips of him, numerous clips of him. If he'll be down with an injury and some guy starts talking smack to him, and he'll get up right away, forget about the injury, and just talking smack. But while we're on the talk of money, we'll talk about our last, not really extension, but a signing. Fernando Mendoza, the Raiders' first overall pick of the draft. He finally signed his rookie contract. It was a 4-year, $57.27 million deal, fully guaranteed. $38 million signing bonuses, but his contract, it is fully guaranteed. It is, that was what his major concern was. That's why it took so long to sign, because he won all the money. Don't know when the last time this has happened. But for the Raiders, they're just a sigh of relief. Mark Davis just wants to get his guy signed. And yeah, he's getting paid $14 million annually. However, though, Kirk Cousins is getting the first team reps as of now in training camp, but that was to be expected, as he's the veteran and has that connection with Clint Kubiak.
Yeah, we talked about it briefly before recording that 38 million signing bonus. Raiders, they haven't had a pick like this in a really long time, so they kind of want to lock him up. Don't give him any reason to think different about his contract and make it fully guaranteed. Which, yeah, you're right. We'll have to look that up and bring it up next time to see how many times that's happened with rookie quarterbacks. But Raiders are all in with this guy. They like everything about him, and I don't think it's a surprise that Kirk Cousins is the going to be the starter for now. And NFL, you always see the backup come in sooner than later. I mean, there's always injuries to deal with. Kirk Cousins is he's dealt with a lot of injuries the last few years. So I do expect to see Mendoza go in there and take his bumps and bruises as well to start earning some of that fully guaranteed contract.
Yeah, it's great for him. Great signing for the Raiders. I mean, just fully guaranteed, like you said. That I haven't heard of that for a rookie in general, not just a quarterback. So, um, interesting how he's maybe now from here on out, some of the top players will get fully guaranteed money in the draft when they get drafted now because they're going to argue, Mendoza got it. Why can't we? And I'm not saying Mendoza doesn't earn it. In college, obviously, he deserved it. We'll see what he does in the pros. I do like Kirk Cousins starting for the Raiders, though. He, like Andrew said, he could get hurt. He's been injury prone, this past couple of years. But if he's winning, you really don't want him to get hurt and put in that rookie quarterback. So, I mean, I'm not saying you guys are going to be winning because you guys are in a tough division as well. But you never know. I mean, Kirk Cousins could light it up and do good, and you guys brought in some good offensive linemen. Some talented receivers. You guys got running backs. I mean, you guys got the whole thing. It's just I think, like you said, when you guys talked about earlier, you need that coach, and I think Kubiak, he's definitely a great coach, and hopefully he can do things with Kirk Cousins and let Mendoza ride that bench just for 1 year. Like I've said in the past on the show, just let him ride the bench for 1 year, and next year let him start. Like you said, let him fly away.
Yeah, I think I've been talking to people, and I said that's the biggest thing with the Raiders right now. I think they have the roster. Do I think they have to win it all? Probably not. But they have a roster that could, I think, somehow make it to the playoffs. But it's all gonna go on who's behind the center. It's if like you said, if Kirk Cousins could light it up and play like he did when he was with the Vikings with Clint Kubiak, the Raiders have a shot at the playoffs. Yes, they're in a tough division. However, Mahomes is coming off an ACL injury. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, they'll make it to the playoffs, but they'll just lose round one. And the Broncos, they had, I'd say a little bit of a fluky year. Now, granted, they're still a good team, but they're beatable. Every team's beatable. And so, like you said, I do like Cousins, taking over the reins to start. Obviously, he gets injured, or if he's just playing really sloppy within the first, 6 weeks, you could pass it to Mendoza. There's no risk of you can just let Cousins start, right? There's no nothing wrong with it. Like you said, Mendoza, once he takes it over, he can just fly away with it. But moving us on to our last bit of NFL news. Vita Vea, star defensive tackle for the Buccaneers. He has requested a trade. He's making $18 million in his final year of his contract. He wants a raise. Obviously, we know Jeffrey Simmons is at $35 million. Jalen Carter's getting about $38. He is 31 years old. I don't think he gets into the 30s. I think he could get himself within the 25 a year. But he wants to play for a California team or the Raiders. And to be honest, California teams, the Niners, Rams, or the Chargers. I think the Rams are out of the question. I don't know if they have the capacity and the trade assets to acquire Vita Vea. I don't know what the Niners are looking like. They would probably love a guy like Vita Vea. So with the Chargers, but I think the best fit, and not just going to be the bias of me, but it's the Las Vegas Raiders, a young team. They have money, they have picks, and it's a really needed position for the Vegas Raiders. They're moving to a 3-4 defensive scheme under Rob Leonard. We obviously know you have Max Crosby on one side. You're going to have Kwity Paye and Malcolm Kuntz on the other. And if you get yourself a big boy like Vita Vea, that's a really solid defensive line. So, the NFL has, the Bills, the Bears, and the Packers as options, the Giants, and obviously the Bucks as well. And, if not the Bucks, I truly believe, like he said, he wants to go to a California team or the Raiders, and that's probably the most likely scenario. Like I said, if he's not staying in Tampa Bay, he's on the move to the West Coast.
I see here it says Rams favorite to land the Buccaneers star, and I'm already like, are these guys trying to build their own super team over there in LA? What's his name? Aaron Donald might be back. You got Myles Garrett, and you add this guy too. It just seems unreal. But but yeah, I guess that type of player becomes available, then yeah, he's going to have a lot of phone calls about him, and yeah, I mean it makes sense that he wants to play somewhere in California. I mean, looking him up real quick from Milpitas, California, which I didn't know that. That's pretty. It's news to me, and that's good news. You always want to root for a guy like that. And yeah, we would love him on the Raiders, right? I mean, any kind of help is welcome. So yeah, we'll see how the day. I don't know how much of just maybe he's using this as leverage to get the money he wants. So we'll this little dramatics here. So we'll see what happens in the coming days.
Yeah, like Andrew said, he's from Milpitas. I followed him a little bit. He won the CCS championship with Pro Milpitas High, and I believe he won a state title for Milpitas High. I'm not correct. I'm pretty sure I'm right. So, he was a big, deal coming out of Milpitas, and for him to want to come back to the West Coast, I understand why he does. He's got family out here, So, or Vegas, like I said, not far from, California, or the Bay Area for him, especially when you got money like that. It's just a quick 45-minute flight. So, Vegas, I could see Vegas. Man, my two teams would be the Vegas or the Niners that I see him going to. They both got the cap space and they both got trade aspects, the draft picks. So, where he goes is where, who offers probably the most. And I hate saying this, but like Andrew said, you can't count the Rams. I mean, Rams don't have the assets and the draft picks, but I could see them going all out and doing what they can do. And if they were to get him, I don't see them bringing in Donald personally. There's no point in bringing him in now. But Chargers. I don't see the Chargers getting them. I just see the Raiders or the Niners going from, because both teams are like just like us. We're switching to 3-4 as well. So we need that big D tackle in the middle, and it'd be a great asset for the Niners as well.
Yeah, so we'll see where he ends up. Like I said, most likely, like I said, on the West Coast, or he stays in Tampa Bay. But that's if the Buccaneers are willing to give him the money he wants, and if not, then we'll see him on the move. But that is all for the NFL. Moving on to the NBA, we'll start with the one and only big news. It's LeBron James. He's heading to Philly. He's going to the 76ers on a 2-year, $8 million deal. We said it when Jalen Brown went to the Sixers. They were the favorites to the East, probably a top 3 favorite to win it all. Now LeBron is there, and he's actually going to be playing point guard for them. So, yeah, it's a scary lineup. Granted, though, anything could happen. We've seen super teams happen before that never worked out. We've seen Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden on the same team. They didn't work out. We've seen Kevin Durant with Devin Booker and company. Didn't work out. We've seen a numerous amount of super teams besides the Warriors that just haven't worked out. And this is another one. We'll see if the Sixers work out. We know Embiid's injury prone. We know Jalen Brown, Finals MVP, great player. Tyrese Maxey, young star guard. VJ Edgecombe, young guard as well. And then we obviously know LeBron, 41, will be 42 by the time the season ends. But yeah, it's just ring chasing. It's what it is. He said he was going to take other things into factor. He said he was going to take his daughter into consideration. Obviously, he said F that. He just said, I want to go win. I think Philly's the best spot. And, Stephen A said something really great that, it's like, how do you not respect it, but how do you compare that to MJ? MJ won 6 rings, same team. LeBron's over here switching teams every couple seasons, and he still is at to pass MJ. And, like I said, the favorites to come out of the East. Why not, right? They have the squad. But
yeah, the East now, I mean, they're looking competitive now, right? You got the Sixers, obviously. You got the Knicks. They're the champions until you knock them off. Miami with their big acquisition. I'm just amazed at how many of these big names are moving this summer. You Giannis, LeBron, Jalen Brown. There's probably some others in there that I'm missing out on, but just big moves. I don't mind the LeBron move. I know he says he wasn't chasing rings, or maybe his agent said he wasn't chasing rings, but But this lineup here, yeah, and I like your point, Drew, where you can't just create this super team and think it's going to work. Ask KD that. He's already been on a few super teams, and maybe once Jalen Brown starts ball hogging and shooting 40 times a game, then LeBron gets pissed. Or LeBron, he's been hampered with injuries too, but still, regardless, I mean, he's still over 20 points a game, kind of guy, still at this age in his career, and not too. I mean, I don't mind it. I'm just glad it wasn't like, hey, I'm going to Cleveland, I want to end it there. I mean, I don't know. You kind of you wrote your story there already, in my opinion. You did everything you can since you got drafted 2003. You brought one back home, for Cleveland. Miami, we all know what he did in Miami, so that kind of story to me.
Oh, we might have lost him.
We lost him.
Might have lost him in action. But yeah, Joe, your thoughts when you saw the LeBron news?
He's back. I wasn't shocked. I agree. Like you said, he's chasing rings, Andrew. That's all it's all about for him. Like you said, he's first and foremost, he's still got to try to catch Kobe. He's at 5 rings, and he hasn't even caught him yet. You've been to the finals 10 times, and you haven't even hit 5 rings. So, that's one thing, And then like you said, you want to be compared to Jordan, but, you haven't even hit 6, So it's like you're not even, in my opinion, you're not even in my top 5 all time. So, I don't have him there. But from what I read and what I heard is that I guess it's a close train ride from New York City to Philadelphia, and I guess that's where he's gonna stay in New York, or from what I've heard, or something like that.
He's staying in New York, but he's gonna fly via helicopter every day to Philly.
Yeah.
We all know.
My son told me that. I thought he was joking.
Yeah, no, we all know. Obviously, what happened to Kobe Bryant with the helicopter. So obviously, a lot of fans are, scared. But yeah, that's just, to me, it's a little confusing why he just won't live in Pennsylvania. But it's whatever, I guess. But yeah, and he said he wanted to play with Curry, right? And he still said it, but he just said he wanted to play with him elsewhere other than Golden State. And that's just the dumbest thing I've heard. And yes, Golden State hasn't done the best of things ever since they won their championship in 2022. But he should have known Curry wouldn't have played elsewhere other than Golden State, other than the Hornets. But we all know LeBron wouldn't have gone to Charlotte. But yeah, and so yeah, it's gonna be an interesting season to see how he does, see how the team does. And we all know the Warriors and Draymond Green, who we're also going to talk about. Draymond opted out of his contract to try to take a cheaper pay cut. Well, he re-signed with the Warriors on a 1-year, $27 million deal. So the contract he opted out of just took the same thing. And as for the Warriors, like I said, they failed Stephen Curry once again this offseason. Haven't done anything for him. Still haven't done anything for him. Now, granted, Yaxel Lendenberg has shown really great flashes in the Summer League. Could be a potential starter for them. But, yeah, just the Warriors just, when you have a guy like Steph Curry, who's, what people would call the LeBron era, some call it the Steph Curry era. When you have a guy like that, and you just, in his final years, you don't bring him help, it's just a head scratcher. And I know Joe Lake went out and said it recently. They're trying to build a team for the post-Steph Curry era. And I understand why, but my problem is you don't have a player for the post-Steph Curry era. You don't have that next star. You have him now. And what you need to do is try to win now and hope and pray for the future after that. It's just frustrating how the Warriors front office has let a player like Steph Curry down.
Yeah, they've tried. They've tried. They ended up getting Jimmy Butler in that mid-season move. What was it, a couple years ago? They're trying. They went after Giannis on a number of occasions. They went after LeBron. There's probably some other guys. I think we're just just lucky that they're actually in a position to go after these guys and to try to get Steph some help. But some of these guys, they look, obviously KD didn't want to come back. He'd rather go to 3 other teams. Just playing by side. Even though he's a, unselfish player. I mean, you've seen the domination when they did bring in a big name free agent like Kevin Durant. I mean, but then again, that was quite some time ago. Everybody's older now, and so I mean, I think management's trying. It's just that I'm guessing they're asking for a lot, and it could be like LeBron, obviously. He didn't want to play with Steph. So if he was saying he wants to play with them elsewhere, then you'll be waiting for a little while, to see if he plays. Yeah, like you said, Charlotte. I don't know. It's just something to think about all the time. But Curry's going to be in his 18th season with the Warriors in October. And you talk about loyalty, him and Draymond Green on his 14th season with the Warriors. I mean, they just played some of the best basketball that the NBA history. So I'm just glad those guys are still around. Of course, it's not the same. I mean, what we witnessed from 2015 on, that was just textbook. That's the dream team. They're gonna. What is that? The Last Dance. They're gonna make a documentary about that stuff. You know what I mean? That was just some unbelievable basketball, and maybe that scares off some of these bigger free agents.
I agree a little bit with Andrew, but then I also agree with Drew. Like, you don't have that star. You didn't help Steph. You went after a washed up Jimmy Butler. Like, that was like a fan move, I guess you could say. It's like, but I mean, look what the Sixers just pulled off with Jalen Brown. You're telling me we couldn't have done that? We couldn't offer more picks or whoever we got to give up.
It did come out that the Warriors or the Celtics wanted 4 picks. I don't know what picks they were from the Warriors, and the Warriors they declined that. I don't know if it was 4 first or what it was, but it was 4 picks. They ended up declining it. So I know that was that.
Well, yeah, and see those 4 picks, you don't know what you're gonna get. With Jalen Brown, we know you're gonna get a Finals MVP, a caliber player who's from the Bay Area, who is a top 10 basketball player right now in the NBA. So it's like, you get. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, like Andrew said, maybe we're a little spoiled out here with the Warriors. How they've been playing and all, but I agree with you, Drew. Like, you haven't done anything to help Steph out. Like, yeah, you brought in Jimmy Butler, but he was already 35, 34 years old when you brought him in. He wasn't the Jimmy Butler, back in the day. You know what I mean? So it's like, you've wasted, in my opinion, the past, pretty much 3 or 4 years of Steph Curry, and possibly the next 2 if you don't do anything. And I just, like Andrew said, yeah, they went after Giannis, and that's great. I'm glad they did try for Giannis, but how do you not pull that trigger for Jalen Brown? Give up 4 first round. I mean, whatever the picks were, even if those 4, it should give up 5, give up 6. We're talking about Jalen Brown here. He's in his prime. He's, like I said, he's already a former MVP, Finals MVP. Why wouldn't you make that move for Curry? And then now, like we just said, now you got that talented player that you replaced Curry with, and Jalen Brown.
Yeah, and Andrew said it right. Players, they don't want to play with Steph Curry. And it's funny, Micah Parsons even tweeted that. He said, why don't players want to go play with Steph? And I think it's because people saw the slack KD caught for coming to Golden State and win 2 rings. But to me, if I'm a player, I'm taking the slack. If I want to win, I'm going to the guy like Steph Curry, the 4-time champion, who, like we said, is unselfish, is willing to give up some of his play for the other star player like he did with KD. I want to go with the guy who's the greatest shooter of all time, who, has the same amount of rings as the quote-unquote GOAT to some people. I want to go to that guy who's done it all. And I guess players just, they don't want it. Like I guess LeBron's one of those guys too. I mean, either way, his legacy is getting tarnished. He might as well have done it with Steph. Might as well done with the
I'm
guy
only
who,
laughing. Well,
yeah.
right, I was gonna say I'm only laughing because LeBron didn't want Draymond Green yelling at him like he did to KD, like we win it without you. You know what I mean? He need you. So I mean that kind of treatment maybe it scares off some guys, but I know they say they're buddies and all this stuff, uh, but yeah, I mean, who knows, how close the Warriors were to getting either one of those guys. But I do agree with Joe, like, you have a guy like this. We're not going to see this Steph Curry player again. Like, I mean, at least I don't think I'm going to be around to see this player again. You know what I mean? And when you have a guy like that, you do need to go all in, put all your chips. You're in Vegas now. Go all in. Here's your 4 first-round picks, whatever it is, to stack up this team, and let's go after the 5th ring because, your first-round picks could be, Patrick Baldwin Jr. It could be, you know what I mean? It could be, even our second rounder, who's Brandon Pajetsky, and then there was the other guy too. I forgot his name, but a lot of these guys are no longer on the team. So even Kuminga was a 7th round pick. He's been on 2 other teams. He's not even on the 3rd one yet. So I'm just saying, like, those draft picks could lead to that, where we could have got a Jalen Brown, use that asset, get a Jalen Brown. That one's over with, so I guess now let's see, what's plan B. If I'm sure they had a plan B. It's just, where's it at? Let's see it.
And like you said, Drew, like Micah Parsons tweeted out, no one wants to play with Steph. I mean, because Kevin Durant got that, heat. It's like, LeBron, he's been doing that his whole career. So I mean, I don't understand where that talk could come from, where you don't want to play with Steph. I mean, you don't want to play with the greatest shooter of all time. Like, and like Andrew said, maybe, it scared him off with, Draymond yelling at, KD and all this, saying, we could win without you, blah, blah. Yeah, but you're not winning right now. So you could say that all you want, but you're not winning right now. You were the 10th seed in the West, and coming back to LeBron is that I think LeBron went to Philadelphia because, in my opinion, I feel he's only got to go through possibly Boston and New York in the East, and that's maybe. I'm thinking it's just New York. And if you come to Golden State, you got to worry about San Antonio. You got to worry about OKC, teams that are legitimate contenders every year in and out right now that we know of, and probably the next 4 or 5 years.
That's another argument people will bring up with the Jordan LeBron debates. It's like when LeBron was in the East, they called it the Eastern Conference, right? Because nobody's in the East. Still, no one really is in the East. Granted, yes, the Knicks just won. But we all know when MJ was in the East, he was fighting Larry Bird, Patrick Ewing, Hall of Famers. LeBron hasn't, the Hall of Famer Reggie Miller, the Hall of Famer LeBron has faced. His name is Steph Curry, and he's lost 3 out of 4 times, and so it just tells you a lot right there. But yeah, we'll see. They still would have to face probably the Thunder or the Spurs in the finals, and I'll still take those teams over Philly any day of the week. But moving on to the MLB, our weekly standings updates. We're about over a week and a half since the All-Star break. The Tampa Bay Rays still lead the American League East. They're 62-44. They have a 2-game lead over the Yankees. Red Sox, who won on a 15-game winning streak, they're 55-50. They're fighting for a spot in the wild card. In the AL Central, the White Sox, 55-50. They have a 2-game lead over the Guardians. And the Rangers have a 2.5-game lead at 55-52 over the Astros for first place in the American League West. In the National League, Braves 62-44. They have a 6-game lead over the Phillies. Brewers, second best record in baseball, 66-40, have a 6-game lead over the Cubs. And then the Dodgers, 67-39, have a 12.5-game lead over the Diamondbacks. As for our news, Max Fried is returning to the Yankees rotation on Wednesday. Garrett Cole's returned already. Ronald Acuna Jr. was activated off the IL. And then injury news. Shea Langeliers, big trade candidate from the Athletics, tore his meniscus and is possibly out the rest of the year. So big blow not only for the trade market, because right-handed bats is one thing a lot of teams are looking for. We all know Langoliers first All-Star selection, already has 20 plus home runs. He's off the market now. No one's going to trade for an injured catcher. And I guess it's good news for the A's. They get to keep him, but and the team for A's that at one point led the division. They've struggled. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. Brent Rooker's out for the year. Starting pitching's been injured. So it's been a brutal year for the A's, and losing Langoliers, it's even worse. And even another team they're not dealing with injury, but the Tigers. It looks like they're playing themselves into a trade. They have not played well at all this year. We all know they were in the ALDS against the Mariners. We all know they lost Game 5 in the 15-inning phenomenal game, long game. And since that, they just haven't played good. We all know Screwball was on the IL for quite some time. He is back now, but they're not winning games. They're not, kind of fighting for the wild card, but they might not even make it. And so, do they have the money to extend them? Who knows? But it's like if you don't and you let them walk free agency, you just missed out on a potential haul for the back-to-back Cy Young winner. And so, Joe, I don't know what you think. Should the Tigers trade Tarek Skubal?
I think so. I don't think they're going to re-sign him, so you might as well get something for him. If I thought they were going to re-sign him, I would say keep him and just keep going what you're going, like you said, because you were in the ALDS against the Mariners, who I believe it was a walk-off home run, lost them the game if I'm correct. I could be wrong, but you definitely you want to keep someone like that, but I don't see them doing that. I just see them walking in free agency. Why do that? Might as well just get rid of them now. You might make that wild card. I don't see them doing that, but because the AL East is it's always competitive, and now the West got a couple teams too that are competitive. So I don't see them making it. Especially with the the Guardians and the White Sox, them, competing right now. So, you just trade them, I just, you have no choice, I think, and just make that move. I think they should.
Yeah, you could get a lot. Like I said, back-to-back Cy Young winner, you could get yourself a haul. Now, granted, prospects, they might not turn out, but I think that's better getting something back than letting him walk free agency for nothing. So you might as well just go and make the move. But yeah, so we'll see if Screwball gets traded. Deadline is next week.
There was a trade today, Drew. I don't know if you heard. The Red Sox and the Nationals made a trade. I'm not sure who it was though.
Yeah, it was
players.
Connor Early, left-handed starting pitcher for Curtis Mead. And Curtis Mead did play the other day, and he got hit on the hand and is now on the IL.
Yeah, I heard that.
Tough for the Red Sox there. But yeah, that was a trade. But yeah, the trade deadline I believe is on Tuesday of next week, so a week from now. So we should be able to cover everything. But yeah, so we'll see if Screwball is moved, or if he stays and they try to re-sign him in the offseason. But that is all for MLB news. Quickly, before we end our episode, in Formula One, we were in Budapest for the Hungarian Grand Prix. To be honest, I woke up for it and then fell asleep. Little boring, a lot went on. Lewis Hamilton dealt with the 3-place grid penalty to start the race. So he was I think it was 400th off from Lando Norris in pole position. Was P2, got moved down to P5. Lando Norris ended up winning. Max Verstappen was P2. Kimi Antonelli, who started P7, got himself on the podium at P3. And then Leclerc was P4 and Hamilton was P5. So Antonelli extends his lead a little bit. Little bit of a boring Grand Prix. But yeah, we are now on the summer break. Next race isn't until August 23rd. So, oh my goodness, a little under a month break. But yeah, that is all for today. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. I'd like to thank my co-host, my uncle Andrew, for joining me today. I'd like to thank my guest, my Uncle Joe, for joining me today. Episodes every Wednesday. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. Get it out. I got my post. Initial reaction when LeBron got traded. A little furious right then and there. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, stay ready.